Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we talk about the latest Xbox news for the week of May 14th, 2026, including a release window for Gears E-Day may have leaked. How will players use physical media on the next generation of Xbox consoles? What can we learn about the future of Game Pass based on rumors about the service coming to China? All that and more. On this day in Xbox history, in the year 2013, 13 years ago, Metro Last Light was released for the Xbox 360. I gotta be honest, I don't remember this game that well. I played in 2014 when Metro Redux came to Xbox One early in the consoles generation. I remember I picked that up, and that was the first time I played Metro. That of course, that collection came with Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light in like a slightly remastered form for PS4 and Xbox One. I remember after years of wanting to play 2033, that was the first time I played either of these games, and I really, really enjoyed them. And I remember I enjoyed Last Light, which is the sequel, more than 2033, which is the 2008 original, or maybe it was 09. In either case, I really liked this game. I remember thinking the gameplay was an improvement over the first game. I remember thinking it looked prettier, it was more interesting, and I do not remember dog shit about the story or anything. I know the character's name is Artyom. I know you're in the freaking underground of this like post-apocalyptic nuclear fallout Russia, and it's cool, and I love the setting and the ambiance, and I know you wipe your mask a lot when it gets fogged over with debris, but I really, truly don't remember this game that well. I am looking forward to coming back to these games and re-experiencing them because I never played... I played Exodus. I never beat Exodus, the third entry, and I'm really looking forward to that new one that they just announced. So I'm hoping I can go back and re-experience the entire Metro series, finally get through the third entry and figure out what it was I liked about this game so much. But yeah, I mean, that's just a side effect of there being so many good games all the time, never a minute to breathe. Yeah, sure. In 2014, I played this game. I liked it. I remember playing it and liking it, but I don't remember this game's story really at all. But I do hope to get back to it again one day and re-experience it. But that is Metro Last Light. You guys, welcome to the Xbox On podcast. Keeping it a little succinct as we go along this episode, just because I'm off work this week. I got a lot of things going on, and I'm just kind of not running my regular schedule, so it's good. All's good. Feeling a little better rested than I normally am on a Wednesday. I'm recording a little earlier in the day than I normally would, which is nice. Something I can get knocked out and still have my evening to myself, or evening available to do other non-Xbox On related things like play Xbox, or dare I say, play Nintendo Switch. Who knows? But happy to be here with all you guys today. Let's start off this week talking about our notable game releases. There are two, really just one for Xbox, but two overall. The first one being that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is now out for the Nintendo Switch 2 because, yes, Xbox games come to non-Xbox platforms. Apparently, it looks and runs really great on Switch 2. I was watching a comparison video showing the game like, oh, you know how the comparison videos are on YouTube. It's like, here's a clip running on PlayStation. Here's the same clip running on Xbox. Here it is running on Switch. And I was watching them compare them all. I'm like, yeah, the game looks decidedly better on PS5 and Xbox Series X. But going back and forth between those versions and then the Xbox Series S version as well as the Switch 2 version, a couple things crossed my mind. One, we've gotten to the point where I just don't give a shit anymore. Games look so good, whether it's on Switch or PlayStation or Xbox, or I don't care. Like, I know there are people who have to have the latest and greatest. You got to have the 4K TV. You got to have the PS5 Pro. It's not enough just to have the PS5. You got to have the RTX whatever card in your PC. That's great for those people. Enjoy that. You can be that person. I just don't give a shit. Like, during the Nintendo Wii days, you could look at like the Xbox 360 versus the Wii version of like Sonic Unleashed or whatever, or Star Wars Unleashed or whatever Unleashed type game you wanted to look at back then, and you could compare the graphics and go, oh my god, the Wii version or the PS2 version looks like dog water compared to the Xbox 360 or the PS3 version. We are so far past that era now, to the point where rather than looking at like the Nintendo Nintendo version or the last gen version of a game compared to the other modern one and going, wow, that version looks like shit. Instead, the way I always interpret these comparisons is like, wow, I can't believe how good a game like this looks on something like the Switch 2. You know, you understand the difference? It used to be, wow, this game looks like shit on Nintendo's hardware. Now it's, I can't believe how good this looks on Nintendo's hardware. It's just, we've gotten to the point where games just look and play great pretty much on everything. In addition to that, the second thing I noticed was, wow, this game looks a little rough on the Series S compared to the Switch 2 version. And by that, what I really mean is, a game looks totally great on the Series S. Totally serviceable, totally playable. However, it looks a little better on the Switch 2, which I guess I wasn't expecting. But anyway, I don't know, man. Who gives a shit, man? The Series S is a platform I play almost as much as the Series X. So, like, to me, it's like, I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know as someone who has access to both the expensive and the more affordable version of the same Xbox generation of hardware. I can tell you they're both excellent. I recommend 99% of people buy the cheaper Series S model because it's great. Anyway, all right, Indiana Jones' Great Circle, blah, 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 you're on Switch. Now you're on everything great. They got you on PC, they got you on PlayStation, they got you on Switch, and I'm sure the game is probably doing better on every platform except for Xbox. All right, the other one is, this is kind of I didn't realize this was kind of like a subtle console exclusive or something, but Subnautica 2. Now, I know of Subnautica. I know this game is incredibly popular, the first entry, that is. I know people that play it. I don't give a shit about this game. I'm never going to give a shit about this game. It's just not personally for me. But Subnautica 2 enters early access as of this week. As of the time you're listening to the show, you can play it. It's on Game Pass, actually, so it's a great get for Xbox players. I know the first game was huge. I'm sure the second game will also be huge. I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes about this game and its developer and the previous publisher and how they got fucked over, and there's a lot of attention around this game, so it's kind of a thing, but I didn't realize this game wasn't on PlayStation. I assume the first one came to PlayStation at some point, but I didn't realize that Subnautica 2 is currently only available through Xbox or through PC, so that's kind of a quiet little timed exclusive for Xbox that's going to, I'm sure, do them some good, because I know people absolutely loved Subnautica 1. So there you go. There's a little boost for you, Xbox, while you're putting all your games on Switch 2. Maybe the 6 remaining Xbox fans out there can enjoy a little bit of a timed exclusive. God knows, we'll talk about me coming back to the good graces and loving arms of Xbox later in the show, because I have a whole a full circle moment, come to Jesus moment with my PC infidelities these past few months. As we'll talk about that once we get into like Vampire Crawlers and Mixtape and all these games. We'll talk about this. But all right, so that's the notable game releases of the week. Let's mosey on over to the news stories. I think we got about 9 or 10 stories to go through this week. Nothing incredibly earth-shattering, but a couple of pretty interesting things, especially this one at the top here, as we all eagerly await not only the release of games like Gears of War E-Day, but also just trying to figure out what the fuck the calendar looks like for Xbox as we start to make our way to the halfway point of the year, because we have a busy latter half of the year for Xbox, and so far there are not a whole lot of firm dates on the calendar. And of course, the big ugly monster at the end of the calendar is, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6. So I'm still wondering every day, every time I'm recording this podcast, I'm just like, how the hell are they going to do Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Fable, blah, blah, blah. You know, Forza is the only one we know for sure right now. So let's start this story off and then see what this does to our understanding of the 2026 release plans for Xbox first-party content. Okay, from VGC, a newly announced WWE event may have provided a clue as to the release date of one of Microsoft's biggest games of the year. During the WWE Backlash live event this past weekend, don't ask me what the fuck that is, the company announced that Triple Mania, don't ask me what the fuck that is, a 2-day event in collaboration with the Mexican promotion AAA, there you go, I guess that's what that is, will take place this September on the 11th through the 13th, or the 11th and the 13th, I should say. WWE has also revealed an event has also revealed that the event will be sponsored by Gears of War E-Day, Microsoft's upcoming Xbox Series S and X and PC game. Now, what makes this especially interesting is that WWE events have featured video game and movie tie-ins in the past, but usually timed to coincide with those product releases. On August 31st last year, Tag Team The Street Profits fought at the Clash in Paris event dressed, I don't know what anything that means, but they were dressed as characters from Borderlands 4, the game that was then released 2 weeks later. Similarly, at this year's WrestleMania event, wrestler Penta dressed up as Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat for his entrance just weeks before the release of the Mortal Kombat 2 movie in cinemas. If Gears of War E-Day is the main sponsor of the event set to be held in mid-September, then this could simply imply that late September or early October would be the release for the Gears of War Day, using those previous examples to kind of use that logic along the lines here. Microsoft has already stated that Fable will be released in the fall of this year, although rumors suggest it could get delayed to early next year. And the release of Halo Campaign Evolved and Minecraft Dungeons 2 are also set to be sometime this year. Of course, we will also have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 or Call of Duty whatever it's yet to be titled, but we know it's probably Modern Warfare 4. None of these games have solid release dates yet, but that's what we got to work with. So, all right, Forza comes out in a week or two here in the good old month of May. Then in June, it's I don't fucking know. Then in July, it's probably Halo. Then in August, it's I don't fucking know. Then in September, it's probably Gears of War. Then in October, it's probably Call of Duty. Then November, it's get the fuck out of the way. Here's GTA. And then Xbox really likes to put games out in December, but I hope they don't do that this year. Do not put Fable out in December. Bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea. We just talked about Indiana Jones. That was a bad idea. Don't do that. I think Xbox has learned their lesson from that one, but don't do it. I think the move is, I'm sure y'all don't want to hear it, probably delay Fable into 2027, but I really don't understand what else the move could be, unless you got like Fable in August and Gears of War in September, but oh boy, I just don't believe there's any fucking shred of a chance that happens. Anyway, hey, this is cool. I obviously we're going to have a firm answer to this in just a few weeks here because early June, what is it, June 9th or whatever? It's always like June 9th. Sunday, June 7th, we're going to have the Xbox Summer Showcase, followed by the Gears of War E-Day Direct. So we're going to get a release date. We're going to get gameplay footage. We're going to get all the ins and outs of this game in just a couple of weeks here, in less than 1 month. So we won't have to wonder about this for very long. But it does sound like, based on this partnership that WWE has with various video games and movies and these kind of product promotional events, that they probably kind of accidentally leaked that, Gears of War E-Day will be out right around the time of this WWE event in mid-September. So I think that's safe to assume that September is probably the release month of Gears E-Day, as of now at the very least. And I think that's really not a bad time. I really thought September would have been the perfect time for Fable. I think in a perfect world, if you could have done like Halo in July, Gears in August, Fable September, Call of Duty October, get the fuck out of the way for GTA for the rest of the year. I feel like that's kind of the move. But even then, it's just like, God damn, Xbox, that's too busy of a calendar. Because I'll just play, Halo will keep me busy for like a week, right? Because it's like there's no multiplayer, so that's fine. Gears of War will keep you busy for like a month at least, unless you're a Gears multiplayer head, then that'll probably keep you busy for quite a while. Fable will keep you busy for a month. Call of Duty will keep you busy for anywhere from like 2 weeks to 6 months. And then Grand Theft Auto will keep a lot of people busy for like years, decades. I don't know. People are still playing fucking GTA 5. Dude, it's crazy. It's a crazy time. And as of the time we're recording this, I'm already inundated. I'm excited about 007. I'm already playing a bunch of games right now. I'm playing a bunch of indies right now. We got Lego Batman, which looks unreasonably good. We got Forza Horizon 6, of course, which is the big one for Xbox this month. That's a game you can sink years of your life into. Like, what are we doing here? At what point do you want us to change our baby's diapers and to have the air conditioning unit checked out for its annual inspection? At what point in time are we supposed to do that, video game industry? Well, you tell me when. All right, let's continue onward. So Gears E-Day probably getting a September release date, possibly early October release date. Actually, let's look at the calendar and guess, because I actually always love doing this for the fall releases. I often do this on Xbox On. So here we go. I'm looking at a calendar of September. The WWE event is the weekend of Friday, September 11th through the 13th, which is a Sunday. If we assume 2 weeks later, that means Gears E-Day is probably coming out either, I don't know, I would say either Friday, September 25th, or Friday, October 2nd, Friday, October 2nd, either the 25th of September or the 2nd of October. That is probably the release date of Gears E-Day. But anyway, we'll see in just a few weeks here once the June event rolls around. All right, that's story number 1. Let's start moseying on over to story number 2, talking about some Xbox next-gen hardware that, I'll be honest, the past couple of months, this journey into the flirtation with Steam and with PC, and do I become a Steam Deck, Steam PC guy, and ditch Xbox as Microsoft continually flips me off and tells me to go fuck myself? I don't know. Where am I going? The more and more I study the world of PC gaming, this now 4 or 5 year long, world, old life. What am I trying to say? This now like 5-year-old world we live in of like PC handheld gaming with like Steam Deck and Asus devices and such like that. The more I understand kind of where Xbox is headed and what Xbox can do to differentiate themselves in that space, I just feel like I have more context and understanding of that now. But we can talk about it more. Let's read our story here. This is a write-up from Pure Xbox, but originally reported from Jez Corden over at Windows Central. So Jez Corden from Windows Central mentions that based on hints he's received about the nature of the next generation Xbox device, Project Helix, it will be a fully digital system similar to how today's gaming laptops and PCs are, and also like the Xbox Series S and like how your handheld devices are, your PC handhelds are. It's just kind of where the world is headed. So Jez Corden says, quote, I thoroughly expect the next-gen Xbox Helix, a console-PC hybrid, to be without a disk drive. Hints I've received are about the nature of the box increasingly point to the idea that it will be a fully digital system similar to Xbox's or to PCs, laptops, and modern devices. However, he highlights that based on some early investigations, Xbox might be working with some kind of disk-to-digital program that would provide entitlements based on your physical library. The key thing here is that details are said to be incredibly scant, and even Jez Corden himself says that you should take this with a huge pinch of salt, saying, quote, codename Positron? Codename Positron? There we go, Positron. From what we can tell, could be some form of a disk-to-digital entitlement program. The details here are incredibly scant. Blah, 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 blah. It might not be exactly as it seems right now, but from the details we've received. So take this with a huge pinch of salt, but it does lead to speculation for now. Okay, that's just kind of repeating the same thing. Corden says that he's going to try and get more information, starting with what actually is even real. So again, don't take any of this as fact for now, but we'll read this kind of in tandem with the next story, but first let me just say here, the idea of this Xbox PC console hybrid device being a digital-only disk drive-less system, I guess we haven't talked about it, it hasn't come up on the show yet, but I guess when I picture a device like that, my brain just instinctively assumes that it is an all-digital device, and I never for one moment kind of guess that there will be a disk drive or a way to play physical media on it, because that's just where my mind goes when I think about modern PCs. I mean, my current desktop does not have a disk drive. My last 3 laptops I've owned haven't had disk drives. This has just kind of like been the norm for the past 10 to 15 years. So I don't know. And Xbox has clearly been the one in the video game hardware industry that is most prominently tried to spearhead us and lead us down this path as a console that kind of can afford the luxury of moving away from physical media faster than Nintendo and PlayStation, because Xbox's main dominance is in the more of the Western world and English-speaking countries where people are overwhelmingly majority digital. It's something that Xbox has kind of tried to push the industry at a faster clip towards, whereas PlayStation is kind of a little more relied upon with the physical media because they're so big in other countries where maybe internet isn't as prevalent or internet speeds aren't as reliable. Nintendo, of course, relies on a younger demographic generally, and just I think just has more of a history with physical media that leads a lot of Nintendo players to want to buy physical games. But Xbox has been for quite a while at this point, for the better part of a decade, this go digital kind of platform. And so it doesn't surprise me to see that that's probably where they're headed. And if you are this cross play anywhere type PC console hybrid thing, I just feel like the whole idea is it's like your library has to be digital. If the idea is that you can play the same game on your Xbox and then on your PC and then on your mobile device and then on your Xbox handheld, then we have to assume that this is all digital. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, and it isn't very convenient and easily transferable from one place to another if we're talking about physical media. So you kind of have to assume it's an all digital future going forward to allow programs like Xbox Play Anywhere to really become the norm and to widen and broaden in terms of availability and scope. So here's the thing is, and this kind of plays into the DRM thing we talked about a couple weeks ago, but it's like, I personally, as someone who lives in the United States of America and can't imagine functioning without internet, decent internet, it's like, I don't know, man. I just don't see any of this as like problematic. I don't know why anyone buys physical media. I think it's, like for those people that want to collect, it's like good for you. But like, listen, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of other parts of the world where high speed, fast internet isn't as accessible, affordable, and readily available. I am just purely speaking as someone who lives in the United States of America, knowing full well that our majority English-speaking listenership based out of either the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia. I know we're kind of all in the same boat and on the same page about this, which is just like, who gives a shit? Why would you go physical on anything? It's just kind of fucking silly. So I just don't see the problem with this stuff. I think the convenience of digital far outstrips the value of whatever, being able to buy and sell used games or add your weird hoarding collection of physical items or whatever it is your reason for being a physical owner is. I don't mean to disparage you or discredit you. It's just that I think physical media is just honestly just a thing of the past, and it's just kind of at this point holding back hardware from being more efficient, more effective, more cost-effective. It's holding back features and ways of engaging with our libraries that would make things more accessible and productive. I just think overall this is an inevitable step forward that people need to stop being so resistant towards. So I personally have no qualms about this whatsoever. If there is some attempt to take your physical library and transfer it into a digital library, don't know how exactly they go about doing that. I think that is an incredibly pro-consumer thing to do. I think that kind of negates any real opportunity for you to bitch and moan about, oh, my old physical games that I bought in 2001 aren't playable on my new 6th generation Xbox console. I guess this would be 5th generation Xbox console. It's like, that's just kind of people looking for reasons to bitch and moan and complain. And then as you can look at with what PlayStation's kind of doing as well, it's like, I don't know, if you really need to put a disc in your Xbox so goddamn bad, I feel like the 1% of you guys that need a disc so goddamn bad shouldn't really be affecting the 99% of us who don't need discs. So maybe just, I don't know, buy a USB physical disc drive, plug it in your Xbox, play your fucking Grab by the Ghoulies for 2 hours, watch your stupid Die Hard 4 Blu-ray collection, and then shut up, stop bitching and moaning, and let the rest of us go on with our lighter, more reliable, more compact, more affordable hardware that doesn't have to be bogged down by having a physical disc drive installed in it. And let's just move forward. Let's move forward, okay? Let's stop it. It's like all you people out there that keep bitching and moaning about how you wish horse carriages and horseback riding was more commonplace. Oh, I hate the Toyota Camry. It just destroyed the need for horses. It's like, listen, man, I don't know about you, but I'm glad we have cars. I don't give a shit about the environment. I just want to drive cars. I don't really need to ride on the back of horses, but I know there's always some of you out there that says, oh, that's because big autos in your pockets and you just don't appreciate horses no more. It's like, listen, boy, at some point in time, we just got to accept that the future is here. We got to move forward, and you got to stop being such a fucking baby boomer about everything. So, I don't know. Let's carry on this conversation to the next story, as we talk about potentially some physical to digital entitlements and some processes for I guess accommodating players in the face of trying to move Game Pass over to the Chinese market. So Windows Central reports that Asha Sharma has already hinted at a big China expansion for Microsoft's gaming operations and might be on deck with the first details. So sources familiar share two new Xbox code names with Windows Central. Now verified insiders are able to now verified inside the latest Xbox Insider builds. So nods to these project names. The first project name is Project Saluki, I don't know, which seems to be a brand new Xbox Game Pass tier set specifically designed for the Chinese market. Saluki seems to represent not one but several Game Pass tiers and rewards specifically tailored for China's unique regulatory environment and gamer preferences. Details beyond that are scant at this time. Indeed, China is an incredibly important and increasingly lucrative market for big game companies. China is, however, incredibly difficult for Western companies to break into. Microsoft already had significant operations in China via Activision Blizzard in partnerships with the likes of NetEase and other Chinese staples. You talk about like Call of Duty Mobile and all that shit. The specific tailored Xbox Game Pass offering will likely revolve around titles that have been verified by Chinese regulatory rules, and perhaps focus more heavily on in-game currencies and the like. Traditionally, China was a mobile skewing market, but recently games like Black Myth Wukong have seen China break into the AAA gaming core market in a big way. Some analysts project that China could surpass the United States as the world's largest gaming market in 2026, with growth already outpacing traditional Western markets. For those of us already in the Xbox ecosystem, the next bit of news might as well be more interesting to you. And then they talk about the physical entitlements, transferring, I guess, your library into digital. Here's the thing, man. I don't know. First of all, there's not a whole lot to say here, even though this is big. There are big implications, just because we don't know anything about these tiers, and it seems like it's more and more about trying to, I don't know, how do I want to say this? Trying to move around regulations from the Chinese government to get your product in that market, and less to do with like offering different benefits and features to appeal to Chinese consumers. However, that being said, I'm tired of, and Xbox is one of the companies that misrepresents these numbers more than anyone. I'm tired of these companies trying to talk about like, oh, there are just as many female gamers as there are male gamers in the world. Oh, China's going to eclipse the United States in terms of like its gaming core base and stuff. It's like, yeah, but these numbers are kind of like dishonest numbers, right? It's like, sure, there are plenty of gamers in China, but those gamers play free-to-play dog shit on their iPhones and on their computers. It's not to say that those games aren't video games. It's not to say that those video games aren't making money and that there isn't money to be made in the Chinese market. But let's not act like because Wukong, Black Myth, Warrior, whatever the fuck, did well in China, that all of a sudden the way people engage with video games in China is one-to-one with how people engage with video games in the United States. Now, obviously, in the United States, there has been a massive increase in PC gaming and mobile gaming and free-to-play gaming with the rise of like the Roblox and the Fortnites of the world, and more with younger generations of gamers. The focus does seem to be more on platforms like, oh, I play Grand Theft Auto Online, or I play Fortnite or I play Warzone. It's not really I play PlayStation or Xbox. It's more like I play this game. Really, it's on whatever hardware is available to me, and that's where I socialize in the realm of video games. And I think that is a little bit more what they're competing with China. And so trying to find a way to bring Game Pass to China, I think, is a reasonable prospect, because you think, oh, this is a burgeoning market. We want to be there. We want to try and get our foot in the door as much as we can, especially with companies like Sony really trying to aggressively get involved with the Chinese market. So I think it's objectively a thing worth pursuing if you're trying to expand your footprint globally. And I think the Chinese market seems to, at least anecdotally, be a little more receptive to Western companies than, say, like Japan or South Korea. I mean, you look at, like, I don't know, like I watch a lot of random YouTube videos and stuff about like life in China. And it's like, if you look at like major metropolitan first world progressive, you know what I mean, like technologically progressive cities in China, you'll see that like brands like Walmart and Starbucks are a lot more like popular and commonplace in parts of China than they are in places like Korea or Japan, where they might have McDonald's or whatever, but it's not like the phenomenon that it is in the United States. However, China just seems to be a little more receptive to like iPhone and things like that. So I think with just how, I don't know, with how, I guess the way I look at this, and again, a lot of this is anecdotal and just from my own perception, with how much China and the U.S. are alike, especially as our government becomes increasingly authoritarian, with just how similar the middle class of the Chinese population is with the United States, I feel like there is some good opportunity for a company like Microsoft to try and expand their interpretation of video games into that market. Whereas you will probably come up a lot less successful trying to do it in a place like Japan or Korea. So, and just with the massive population of China, the massive middle class that they have, it seems like a very worthwhile effort for a company that is trying to expand their footprint. So I get where they're coming from, but let's not act like bringing Game Pass to the Chinese market is going to be a surefire way to capture the biggest market of gamers, because even if you get Game Pass into China and then people can play Indiana Jones and Halo whatever and Gears or whatever, it's like the Chinese market just is going to continue to probably just fucking play Genshin Impact and like Doki Doki Booby Time on their iPhone, no matter how many times you put Marcus Phoenix in front of their faces. So I don't know. They're trying to bring Game Pass to China. Don't really know what that looks like. Don't really know what that means. They're trying to find ways to bring, this idea of like take your games and transfer them to your Xbox library to try and make Xbox a more attractive place to play for the Chinese market. This disc to digital thing, but it's like, what is the current physical media landscape in China look like, and how is that beneficial to the Chinese people? Do Chinese people have a lot of physical games? I don't know that to be true, so I just really don't see what all we're getting at here, but there's clearly something I'm missing, something either lost in translation or just some lack of understanding and knowledge about what gaming is like in China. But whatever, apparently this is to some extent a big potential move for Xbox. I will be curious to see kind of where we go from here, but whatever. I really don't care to talk anymore about China and Xbox, because that's not really anything that I think is super interesting or relevant to most people that listen to this show. Let's move on. We got another one that's a small one, but Aliens Fireteam Elite, a new sequel to the Aliens Fireteam game that came out in what was that, like 2021 is when that game came out? Anyway, sequel has been announced. So Daybreak and Cold Iron Studios have announced the sequel to Aliens Fireteam Elite. It's called Aliens Fireteam Elite 2, and it will release this summer for Xbox Series consoles, Steam, and Epic Games Store. The sequel expands on from 3 to 4 player co-op and adds new customization options, allowing players to mix and match weapons, abilities, and classes, says the developer. So listen, the first one looked really good. It was a Game Pass day one game. I'm not going to act like this is super exciting just because it's like, I don't know, it looks like a Gears of War adjacent game that looks pretty fucking cool, but oh my god, I don't have time. It's too much. It's just too much. I feel bad that I never played the first one. Alien continues to be this IP, this franchise that I'm like very confident I would love if I just forced myself to sit down and finally watch these movies, play some of these games, but it continues to be this elusive IP for me that I'm just very out of touch with. But yes, the first one looked great. This sequel looks also really great. I never played it, and I probably never will. But if you like Gears of War style cooperative third-person action shooters, you might want to give this game a look because, yeah, I mean, I'm watching the trailer as I talk right now, and this looks like a very fun time. So there you go. Alien Fireteam Elite 2 is announced. No firm date, but summer 26, so soon. Look forward to that. I read somewhere that it's not going to be a Play Anywhere or a Game Pass Day 1 game, whereas the first one was, so PlayStation or something. Speaking of features that nobody asked for, let's talk about Game Pass integration with Discord or Discord integration with Game Pass. I don't fucking know. VGC relays that Discord and Xbox have officially announced their Game Pass partnership after it was leaked last month. Starting this week, Discord users who subscribe to the paid Discord Nitro membership will now gain access to a starter edition of Game Pass. This includes a library of more than 50 PC and console games, which players can download and play as part of their Nitro subscription. So that's basically the Game Pass Essentials benefit now included in here. It also includes access to cloud streaming, but because it's cut down version of Game Pass, it's limited to 10 hours of cloud streaming per month. That is fucking weak. It's not the quality of the streaming is lower, it is the number of hours you can stream is lower. That is, I don't like that. I don't like that where we're going with that. That makes me uncomfortable. The offer is applicable to players with an active Discord Nitro membership through a paid membership. Memberships given through Nitro gifts and most Nitro trials are eligible too. Those with Nitro Classic or Nitro Basic memberships are not eligible. I'm not going to pretend to really know what all Nitro includes. I know it's Discord's paid membership that gives you like special avatar features and special like features to like upload images and videos of higher quality or bigger file sizes or something, but that's really all I know about it. It says those eligible who wish to access their Game Pass library have to open Discord, select the direct message icon, choose the Nitro Home tab to access the Nitro Rewards page, and find the Game Pass card or banner. They will also be asked to link their Discord account to their Microsoft account if they haven't already done so. Existing Xbox Game Pass subscribers will also start getting Discord Nitro benefits later this month as part of its partnership, including 250 Discord orbs each month, 1.2 times extra orbs when completing quests, and automatically applied Discord shopping. Don't know, don't care. I don't know, don't fucking care, guys. Listen, this is the stuff where it's like, if any of this sounds appealing to any of you out there, I'm not trying to disparage you. More power to you. I'm glad that you're going to get some extra value, either out of your Discord account or out of your Game Pass account. That's great. But this is that, like, I think about, so I was a T-Mobile customer for a very long time. And one of the ways T-Mobile really got me to stick around was as their prices would increase and increase and increase, they'd always be like, hey, Netflix on us. Stay subscribed to T-Mobile and you get Netflix. And then every year, the one that really got me, every year, they're like, oh, MLB TV on us. Instead of buying MLB TV for like $150 or $200 every year, just stay on T-Mobile and we'll give you MLB TV for the year on us. And I was like, damn, these are such great perks and benefits. I got my Netflix, I got my MLB TV and all this stuff through T-Mobile, and when you add it all up, it's a couple $100 I'm saving every year, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, I love this. And then as I got older and thought a little bit better about like how to conserve my money, my hard-earned work dollars that I made through working, not through having investments that did all my money for me, that made my money work for me, not through inheriting wealth. When I thought about spending my hard-earned dollars, I'm like, T-Mobile's kind of like a fucking ripoff because it's just me and my girlfriend on this plan, and we're spending like almost $150 a month to have T-Mobile. This is kind of shit. And I'm a phone purchaser who buys their phones direct from the manufacturer. So when I get a Samsung phone, I just go to Samsung.com. I don't subsidize my phones through my carrier like T-Mobile. And I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. And so Early last year, at the beginning of 25, I said to my girlfriend, I was like, listen, we're leaving T-Mobile. We're going to switch over to one of those prepaid carriers like Mint, and we switched to Mint Mobile. And to the two of you out there that already know this, yes, I know Mint Mobile is owned by T-Mobile. I'm giving the same company money at the end of the day. I know. It wasn't about sticking it to T-Mobile. It was about looking for a way to save some money. And I realized, wow, by subscribing to Mint Mobile, I'm saving so... I swear to God, this isn't a paid ad. I'm not getting paid by it anyway. By switching to Mint Mobile, I saved so much fucking money. I have essentially the same... Mint Mobile is owned by T-Mobile. It's the same cell towers and everything. You get second-class priority access when you're in like busy areas and high-traffic areas. And I'll be honest, in the now almost 2 years I've been using Mint Mobile, I noticed zero fucking difference in terms of coverage, quality, anything. All the only difference is I just saved a shit ton of money by getting at T-Mobile. And so now every year I have to buy MLB TV for myself. I don't want Netflix because I don't like Netflix, so I just no longer have Netflix because I don't have T-Mobile anymore. And when I look back and I do the napkin math, it's like, wow, I'm saving hundreds and hundreds of dollars every year by having Mint Mobile instead of T-Mobile, and by not subscribing to fucking Netflix, which I don't need, and by buying MLB TV every year out of pocket as opposed to relying on T-Mobile to give it to me. And all the perks and benefits, all the T-Mobile Tuesdays where they give you $2 off a Whopper at Burger King or whatever kind of like random nonsensical value-driven bullshit things they throw your way constantly to make you think you're getting a good deal with T-Mobile. Despite not having any of those things anymore, I am saving so much money on my phone bill every month. And that's kind of how Game Pass is starting to feel. Again, none of that was a paid ad. Don't get Mint Mobile, do get Mint Mobile, whatever. Do whatever the fuck you want. I bring all that up to say, I don't know that Game Pass is starting to become this thing where you're spending more than you're saving. I do think Game Pass is an incredibly value-driven product. But much like how T-Mobile kind of like is desperate for you to have these arbitrary reasons to switch from AT&T or stick with T-Mobile no matter what other price you're seeing out there. It's like, that's kind of how I feel about Game Pass, where it's like, you know, I've been fucking around with PlayStation Network. I've been playing around on Steam a lot lately. Even Nintendo has some really good seasonal sales these days, which you would have never seen during like the Wii U generation or the early Switch generation. Like, you can get good deals pretty much anywhere. Nintendo's online subscription service is the best value of any of the major brands. PlayStation has tons of really great games that are included in your PlayStation Plus subscription. Steam is the best place to get the most games for dirt cheap. And I feel like Microsoft has all the attention for, you know, this realm of like video game subscription services or free games, quote unquote, or free perks or additional perks or best value in gaming. And the more and more they buddy up and cozy up with companies like Discord or Fortnite bucks or fucking League of Legends bucks or what is the one they do? I almost said Pornhub. What is it? Crunchyroll. Same thing basically. It's like every time Xbox tries to convince you that Game Pass is a thing you need to continue to be subscribed to because, look, you're getting Discord Nitro benefits. Look, you're getting Mountain Dew points. Look, you're getting, like, it's like, all right, dude, the jig is up. Like, you constantly trying to throw bullshit in my face to tell me, hey, this is a thing you need to keep giving us money on a monthly basis for, tells me like, hey, I'm probably getting scammed and I need to stop subscribing to all these things and giving you blind money on a monthly basis despite not really doing the math and thinking, well, what's the best way to save money for myself? And what's the best way to make sure I'm only paying for the things I need? And whether you're saving money with Game Pass, you're breaking even with Game Pass, or you're overpaying by having Game Pass every month because you don't pay enough games to get the value out of it, doesn't matter. The point is, Game Pass is starting to reek of that like desperate, don't unsubscribe, keep giving us money, consume kind of culture that just makes me sick. It's like, I don't know what the fuck Discord Nitro is as someone who had Game Pass for like 5 years. I don't give a shit about Discord Nitro, and I will never give Discord money to use their product or service. So I don't need you to subsidize that product or service for me, because the day Discord starts telling me I need to spend money to use Discord, I'm just going to tell the few people I ever play multiplayer games with, listen, I'm either doing an Xbox party chat with you or we're not talking. We can go fucking old school style and do a phone call if we gotta. But listen, I'm not. I don't need Discord Nitro. I don't need Crunchy Bucks. I don't need Fortnite Bucks, and I certainly don't need you to goddamn give me Mountain Dew points, because God knows I get enough of those when I go to the gas station. I don't know, man. There's this constant news cycle of like, Game Pass has 2 new tiers. Game Pass is renaming their tiers. Game Pass now gives you this perk. Game Pass gives you now $3 off DoorDash every month. Game Pass now pays your water bill for you. Game Pass is now available in China. In China, they have different versions of Game Pass. Oh, Korea has different versions of Game Pass. Oh, in the UK, if you have Game Pass, they'll give you fucking 10% off your next Wet Willy. It's like, oh my God, dude. Clearly all you're telling me, it's like, Asha Sharma is talking to the guy at Netflix, and the guy at Netflix is like, oh, maybe we'll do like a Netflix Game Pass combo deal. It's like, listen, all you're telling me is that Game Pass is a failed experiment, and you can't maintain your subscriber base, and you're really fucked up when you doubled the price last fall, or when you raised the price 50% or whatever last fall, and you've hemorrhaged a lot of users, and you're desperately trying to hang on to users, and you don't have enough of a draw to keep people engaged in Game Pass, and you're constantly trying to beg and plead for people to stay when people just want to get the fuck out of here. And that is telling me that you're desperate, and that this service isn't worth it, and that we probably don't need this. The games industry probably can't sustain a service like Game Pass. So my recommendation after seeing this constantly every fucking 5 minutes in my face is like, maybe we don't need Game Pass. Maybe Game Pass is just a fucking bum deal. Maybe Game Pass is more of a hindrance than it is a benefit. And I don't fucking know. I mean, isn't Game Pass kind of ultimately dead when the whole point of the biggest acquisition in gaming history, $70 billion for Activision Blizzard, was all about getting Call of Duty in Game Pass, and now everyone is celebrating the fact that Call of Duty is being decoupled from Game Pass? Like, isn't that alone the ultimate waving of the flag, the ultimate capitulation that, like, this doesn't work, we need to stop, I don't need your fucking Robux to make me stay subscribed to Game Pass? Like, just fuck off. Just fuck off. And do me a favor while you're at it, and just fuck off. Game Pass is a cudgel. It sucks. It ruins Xbox. It waters down Xbox. It makes Xbox look like some cheap fucking budget nonsensical thing. It makes Game Pass. It makes Xbox look like the great value brand in gaming. And I'm fucking tired of it. I don't know what Discord Nitro is. Any of you people who have 30 fucking plus subscription services that you're paying on a monthly basis, you are being scammed. You are being held down by an oppressive economic system that is trying to keep you poor, keep you entertained, and keep you distracted from all the people taking money out of your pocket on a constant basis. This shit needs to stop. I'm disgusted by it, and I'm tired of it. So Discord Nitro, suck a dick. Xbox Game Pass, suck a dick. I'm going to go buy my games. In fact, I think I spent more this week in what I would have saved in Game Pass, because I refuse to interact with Game Pass at this point. I bought Mixtape, I bought Inkobini, and I bought Vampire Crawlers. I think 2 or all 3 of those games might already be in Game Pass Ultimate, but I was happy to buy them instead of subscribe to Game Pass, because I want Game Pass to make like a tree and fuck off. And I'm tired of talking about it. So Discord Nitro, I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know if it's like a Starbucks drink you can get at the gas station, but I don't want it. All right, let's talk about Forza Horizon 6, something I do want, something that is in Game Pass, and something that I highly suggest you show some support to the developers by purchasing for $70 instead of getting through Game Pass. VGC writes in, didn't write in. Nope, VGC has never written into this podcast, and they never will. They wrote an article, which I ripped from their site, and it says, Forza Horizon 6 Studio Playground Games says it will take strict action against anyone it finds playing a pirated release of the game early. So I guess this past week, Forza Horizon 6 leaked on Steam, blah, 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 blah. I guess it had something to do with, I don't know. Playground Games went to Twitter and said, we are aware of reports that find a build of Forza Horizon 6 that has been obtained prior to its release and can confirm that it is not the result of a preload issue. The studio warns that anyone caught playing this pirated version of the game will face action ranging from bans across the entire Forza series to outright hardware bans, saying, quote, we are currently taking strict enforcement action against individuals found accessing the build, including franchise-wide ban and hardware bans. We encourage fans to sit tight and wait for the game's release on May 19th. I don't know, man. I don't know why anyone steals shit or pirates shit. It's kind of tacky. It's kind of gross. I don't really have anything else to say about this. But yeah, just be aware. It's out there. don't engage with the shit. It's not worth getting your Xbox account banned unless you're looking for an excuse to never engage with Xbox again. Then maybe this is the move. I don't know. But dude, there's so many games out there right now. Can you really not wait another week for the game to come out? You just got to go pirate this pre-release version of the game. Like, you really can't just wait another week. I don't know. People are so lame, dude. People are so corny. And like, I've been following, like I've been on the Steam Deck, Steam Kick or whatever for a while. The only social media I really use at this point is just YouTube and Reddit. And so like, I'm following the Steam Deck subreddit page, and it's so funny because right now the Reddit algorithm knows that I'm really into Nintendo Switch and I'm really into Steam Deck, so it's pushing me like a lot of content, a lot of posts from the Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit and the Steam Deck subreddit. That's the two things I'm getting pushed to me the most. And it's so funny because the Nintendo Switch subreddit is always like, look at this game I bought. I love my Nintendo Switch too. Ooh, I'm going to play this game. Hey, what game do you guys recommend I play next? And the Steam Deck subreddit is constantly like, oh, dude, I hacked my Steam Deck and now I'm playing Super Smash Bros. On my Steam Deck. Bro, I did a legal thing. I was vaping and I like totally made my Steam Deck play like fucking like The Last of Us Part 4. Oh man, I was like totally like putting my finger at my butthole, and now my Steam Deck looks like an N64 and I'm playing Ocarina of Time on it because I'm fucking awesome, bro. I'm like, sounds like this. It sounds like there's a huge a group of men out there. It seems like young men who just don't believe that Steam has enough good games available at this point in time, and so they have to illegally play Mario Kart World on Steam Deck illegally. It's like, dude, you guys are like, listen, do what you want, whatever. You're not murdering anyone or anything, but like, you are stealing and you are a low-life scumbag. And it's just fucking lame that there are so many people out there seemingly who just like totally rationalize to themselves this kind of delinquent behavior, like stealing games, pirating games. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not all for like big businesses having all the power, but like, I don't really feel bad if Nintendo or Xbox or someone goes after you for pirating games or stealing games or ROM hacking shit. It's like, listen, it's one thing if it's like, hey, there's this game that was on the NES called Little Nemo and it's completely inaccessible today. There's no way to buy it. You can't play it on modern hardware. So I illegally downloaded it. I pirated it off the internet so I could play it on this fucking random device or on this computer because I love this game. I wish I could play this game, but the game is inaccessible. It's like, okay, that's one thing. But like going like, oh man, Donkey Kong Bonanza, why would I spend $450 on a Switch just to be able to buy that game for $70? That's not worth it. I'm just going to illegally pirate it on my fucking Steam Deck because I'm a piece of shit person. And it's like, all right, well, like I really don't feel bad about what happens to people like you. So I don't know, like watching people like get in trouble over stealing Forza Horizon 6 a week before it comes out, it's like, okay, well, if your life is good enough that you can afford to be that kind of piece of shit, then I don't really care what happens to you. I don't know what to say, man. You guys are the bad apples ruining everything for everyone, and fuck you. That's me being nice about it, by the way. All right, let's start to wrap things up. We got a couple of stories about updates about Capcom and Sega, and then I think we're done. We can move on over to the comments. All right, good news here. Capcom has released its promised DLC for Resident Evil 9 Requiem. They've been teasing this for a little bit now, but the mode is out now. It's released and everything. It's free. So if you have Resident Evil Requiem, this new mode called Leon Must Die Forever is available now and automatically updates if you've beaten the game. Unlocked by completing the main story, this additional minigame mode challenges you to clear numerous stages as Leon while unlocking exclusive enhancer abilities, Capcom reads. The fast-paced action is distinct from the main story mode and is packed with a replay value. Can you make it to the end alive and defeat the main boss within the time limit? Multiple difficulty levels are available, including an extremely high difficulty mode for the most confident players. True to the title, you will die forever. All right, I need people. So right before the podcast went live or started recording, I didn't realize I'd already missed this news, so I hopped on my Switch 2, I booted up Resident Evil Requiem, and I saw that this update had already downloaded, so I played like one round of it for like 8 minutes, and immediately I'm just like, fucking stop it. I am so tired of these highly addictive, super easy to just pick up and play, roguelite, whatever it is, kind of vampire survivors style games. Like, I can't do it. They're so addictive, they're so fun, and here we have another one. So the way this works, I guess you can beat it, but it's like You just go into the mode, and it's like you go through parts of the campaign, like locations from throughout the campaign, and it'll be like, here's like a part from the opening of the game, and like there's just zombies everywhere, and you got to kill them, and they're pretty trivial to kill. And then there's like little supply boxes and stuff. You like pick up a random gun here, some ammo there, random ability there, and then once you clear that stage or whatever, you walk through a door and you enter like a new part of the game that's a higher difficulty level, and everything resets, and you unlock like an ability to be like, oh, do you want to upgrade your shotgun? Do you want to upgrade your armor? Do you want to upgrade your pistol? And you pick one, and then you move on to the next round, and the next round is significantly harder, and then it's harder and harder and harder. At each level you go up, and you do this all the way until you hit like the last boss of the game. And it's like, dude, this stuff is immediately addicting, and it's immediately fun. I'm tired of these games. They keep scratching that Call of Duty Zombies part of my brain. These like arcade, pick them up, replay, just one more go kind of games. And yeah, this thing, I can immediately tell you this DLC is immediately fun and addicting. So as soon as I'm done with the podcast today, I'm probably going to go back to playing with that. But yeah, this is cool. If you have Resident Evil Requiem, I highly recommend checking this out. This is a really good way to reuse the assets of the game and remix it in a way that just makes it replayable and fun. And I just got to give Capcom another shout out, because I played the fuck out of this game. I played the fuck out of Pragmata. Capcom is just killing it with these games. It's like, it can be an 8-hour long video game if you want it to be, but it's such a fun game. It's so respectful of your time, and it's so just kind of classic and arcadey that by the time you're done playing it, through the game in 8 hours, you'll want to go back and play it again, because we'll give you all these reasons to keep having fun with it. And I would so rather play a game like Resident Evil Requiem or Pragmata over like 100-hour long like Cyberpunk 2077 or Witcher 3 or fucking, what's that game that's super popular right now, that Korean developed game where it's like 1,000,000 hours long, whatever it is, my mind's drawn blank, but like I can't with these fucking games. Like, I know for some reason the autistic majority of hardcore gamers is like always like gooning for another 300-hour long RPG. And don't get me wrong, those games are great every once in a while, but like, man, I will take a game. Like, I see people bitching and moaning about the new 007 being only 20 hours long. It's like literally with the most harsh meaning behind it. Go fuck yourself, dude. Like, $70 for a 20-hour long action adventure single player James Bond game that looks badass. What more do you want? What do you want? Do you want the director of the game to fly from Europe over to your house and fellatiate you for 3 weeks in a row to give you the full $70 value? How is $70 not a good exchange for a 20-hour long James Bond AAA, high quality, high production, third-person action, story-driven game? How is that not a fair trade? How is that not a fair trade? I'm going to ask one more time. How the fuck is that not a fair trade? What else do you want? Do you want the fucking art director of the game to be like, here's my wife, you can bang her? Like, what do you want? I don't know, man. People are weird. But shout out to Capcom, because they keep making great games that respect your time, offer great replay value, are endlessly fun, and are made in a realistic, conservative, meaningful way where it's like, let's not overdo it. Let's not overextend ourselves. Let's not bankrupt our fucking people at the expense of trend chasing some goddamn Fortnite or Elder Scrolls type experience that honestly there's just too many of already. So shout out to Capcom. You guys, honestly, as someone who's like always liked Capcom but never really like loved them because they don't make a ton of games I traditionally like, gotta say Capcom is clearly just very clearly one of the top 5 game developers / publishers right now. They are doing it right in a time period where the games industry is imploding on itself because of poor management and stupid decision making. Capcom clearly knows what to do and how to do it right, and I think I don't know if there's enough credit that could be given to Capcom at this current point in time. So I really want to fellatiate Capcom at this current moment, and Let's use that to segue into this next story, because rightfully so, they are reaping the rewards of their very smart, very wise, very conservative game development efforts, because while the rest of the industry is imploding on itself and Xbox is begging you to subscribe to to Discord Game Pass or whatever the fuck they're trying to do. Capcom's like, yo, the last 12 months in a row, we've had the best financial results we've had in the past 10 years. And then so anyway, let's read here. For the business year ended March 31st, the Japanese publisher achieved the 9th consecutive year of record profits and highest consolidated sales of operating profits in its history. That's fucking awesome. I love to see that. That's good shit. In total, Capcom sold 59.07 million games during the business year, up from 51.87 million in the year prior. This figure was driven overwhelmingly by the sales of Resident Evil games, notably Requiem, which released in February and sold nearly 7 million units by the end of March. That is awesome. That's amazing. Love to see it. Super happy for them. Capcom said 83% of its games sold were from the older catalog of titles, with a huge 93% of games being sold were from digital downloads, not physical. So this is great. And they're anticipating that the next fiscal year will be an even better one for them. That Pragmata technically falls in the March 2027 onward fiscal year, so we'll see how that affects things. That game seems to already be off to a pretty good start for a new IP. Later this year, Onimusha Way of the Sword is coming out, and that will be a good one for them. And they've got some like video, TV, and movie stuff happening with a Devil May Cry animated series and a Street Fighter movie coming out in the next year or so. So looks like things are on the up and up for Capcom. They're making money. People are loving them. They're doing all the right things. They're saying all the right things. They're showing you how it's done, while especially American companies continue to fall all over themselves to be fucking ridiculous morons with games like High Guard and with things like Game Pass. Over there in Japan, we got like Capcom just like, you guys want to fight fucking zombies as a handsome 50-year-old man named Leon? And I'm like, yes, please. And they're like, okay, that'll be $70. And I go, thank you very much. Here's $70. And then some asshole on the internet goes, $70 for Resident Evil? But that game can be completed in like 7 hours. And like, I don't have like a fucking life. So like $70 for 7 hours is not worth it for me. And then I go over to that guy's house, and then I chop off his penis, and then I mail it back to him. And then he goes, what the hell is this? Because he didn't know he had a pee-pee, because he was too busy bitching and moaning on Reddit about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle not looking great on the Xbox Series S, calling that machine a piece of shit, even though he has a $1,400 PC that he uses exclusively to play games that look like they were released on the Amiga. I'm done with you guys. I'm done with you, not you, the listener of the show. I'm done with you, the people of the video game community that act and behave this way. I hope you all get erectile dysfunction and that you use it for the better of mankind by not reproducing, because we don't need you. All right, let's round out with some Sega news. I'm not going to even read this story. I'm just going to say, about 5 years ago, Sega was talking really vaguely and boldly about this super game initiative, this like fucking project that was going to be like the future games, and they were super vague about it, but they were super confident that it was like the future of games, and it was some live service platform evolving model. They basically finally said, after 5 years of nonsense, hey, we're canceling that because Sonic Rumble, this mobile game, is not doing well. Angry Birds, which they bought a couple years back, isn't doing well. Their live service initiative just isn't taking off. Remember a couple of years ago, they were making that Hyenas game, and that didn't work out, so they canceled that. They're like, fuck it, live service is not working out for us. We're just going to double down on making real video games. And so they said, hey, remember we said we're making new entries in series like Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio and Golden Axe? We're still going to make those. Just like, last year they released that new, not Ninja Gaiden, but Shinobi game, and stuff like that. They're like, we're going to keep doing that shit, but we're just going to like cancel this live service platform, vague, nonsensical, overpriced bullshit. We're just going to back off that. And I'm super happy to see it. I hope a company like Sega that makes games around the budget and size and scale of games that like Capcom makes, I hope they're looking at companies like Capcom, and they're looking at their own internal finances from games like Sonic and Like a Dragon and Persona, and I hope they're going, yeah, let's keep making awesome single-player games that are made at a modest cost and sell many millions of copies and make us a lot of money, and then let's just keep doing that for, $60, $70 a pop, and stop trying to chase fucking Fortnite, because it's lame, it's gay, and frankly, it's offensive to all of my senses, all 17 of them. So shout out to Sega for doing the right thing and canceling this nonsense. Hopefully not too many people are affected financially from this, but yes, I'm very excited to see one less live service emboldened, shareholder, nonsensical driven, stupid decision that's going to negatively affect the games industry. And so, yeah, better late than never. What the hell is this? How many times am I going to get the same text message that my water filter's been delivered? What is happening here? All right. Yeah, I'm seeing this as a positive. It's technically negative news, but I'm viewing it in a positive light because to me it's a good thing. But anyway, that is it for our news this week, you guys. I'm going to take a quick water break. Come back. We'll talk about the games I'm playing and get on to the listener comments. So be right back for all that. All right, guys, let's talk about the games I've been playing this week. Got a couple of them. Really excited to talk about some of these. But before I can tell you about what it is I've been playing, I want to tell you about what I've been eating, boy. So very excited about this one as well. So there is this new Brazilian meat market just a couple miles down the road from my house that opened up very recently. And I've been pretty eager to check it out because, as you know, I'm really into the grilling scene these days. Really love the smoking and the grilling of meats. So I figured, hey, I'm going to check that place out because meat's expensive. There aren't too many great places around where I live to go find, like, you know, good deals and things like that. Usually when we go out to Costco, I'll like kind of bulk up on a couple different things, some beef ribs. One time I got a small cut of brisket that was a pretty good price, and that was the one and only time I smoked a brisket. But whatever, you know, like I like fast, high heat grilling on like a burger or a steak or whatever every now and then. But like my true passion on the grill, it's the slow cooking, you know, it's the smoking, things like that. So anyway, we go to this Brazilian market because my mother's visiting for the week. I got some days off work. I'm like, let's fucking do it. It's Mother's Day weekend. Let's smoke something. So we go to this place and it's pretty great. It doesn't have the biggest selection, but they do have some really good prices. And so I picked up for $30, almost 4-pound picanha, however the fuck people say it. It's top sirloin. It's the top end of a sirloin cut with a really thick layer of fat. It's very, very, very much a popularized cut of meat because in Brazil it's used for Brazilian steakhouses and things like that, and that's kind of how people know it. But it's just a top sirloin piece with a really fat, thick piece of fat on the top of the cut, and the key is to kind of like slowly render out that fat. So what I did was I put it on the grill. I did an offset cook on it. So I seared the fuck out of it. Well, the night before I seasoned it, you know, salted up, dehydrated it, you know, let it sit for 12 hours like that. I seasoned it up the next day, gave it a little bit of oil, and then I put it on like a grill at like 400 or 500 degrees. Fat side down, sear the fuck out of that fat cap. And then I put it back meat side down on the opposite side of the kettle, away from the coals, and I just slow cooked it for like an hour. Got it to like 120 degrees internal, put it back on the high heat side, seared the whole thing around a little more, get the char, get the Maillard, get the look and the crust on it. And then I pulled that sucker off, wrapped it in some foil, and let it rest for like an hour or two. This thing turned out beautifully. Actually, not beautifully. It turned out really good. It was a little overcooked. I kind of left it on a bit too long. It was kind of like closer to like a medium. And of course, you know, you want to shoot for like a medium rare. But this thing was, for the most part, really good for a first attempt. It was big enough that it fed us that day. And then we had leftovers for 2 days. So I made steak and eggs for 2 breakfasts in a row, which is fucking awesome. But this thing is amazing. For $30, it fed me, my mother, and my girlfriend for 3 meals, and was delicious. The thing I love about barbecue is it's really good once you take it off the grill, and it's even better the next day after it's sat. It gets that nice smoky flavor. I smoked it with some hickory wood. It was awesome. Super good. I hit it with a little like lemongrass seasoning, salt, pepper, kind of classics, garlic, whatever. And I would 100% do this thing again. I'm thinking about it, I'm like, for $30, especially if it's just me and my girlfriend most times, I can go down the road to this grocery store, pick one of these things up for $30, and make like 3 of the week's meals out of it. Like, that's an amazing value. So it's a delicious cut of meat. It's a fun to make cut of meat. It's not super long to cook it this way. Plus, if you wanted to make it faster, you could just cut it into steaks and make them faster inside on the pan or whatever you want to do. There's a lot you could do with it. It's a very versatile cut of meat. So I'm like, all right, I see you, Brazil. I see you. The picanha, whatever the fuck you want to say, the top sirloin. Great cut of meat. Love it very much. I'm very much looking forward to it. I didn't cook it Brazilian steakhouse style. I didn't cut it into thick thick ass steaks and skewer it. And no, I'm not doing that. I'm smoking it. I'm a barbecue man. I'm a Texas style rub kind of guy. I want to dry rub my meats and cook them low and slow for long periods of time. So that's what I did, and it turned out great. So I'm a huge fan. I will be back, thank God, to the large Brazilian population we have here in Central Florida, because it has allowed me to have a local Brazilian meat market nearby that is affordable, and the people there are super sweet. So shout out to them. Shout out to that place. Very much looking forward to becoming a repeat visitor to that store. Anyway, that's it for what I've been eating. Now let's move over to what I've been playing. So I don't know what order do we want to do this in. I guess I'll talk about Mixtape first, then Vampire Crawlers, then Incolbini. So let's start off with Mixtape. So I guess let's read this comment. Compassionate Choice LLC writes in and says, Jesse, I'm playing Mixtape and I love it. Don't understand why people are review bombing this game. I don't understand it either. So I've been looking for this game for years. We first had it revealed at an Xbox showcase a couple summers ago. Since the very first time we saw it, I'm like, yep, that's a Jesse game. I will play that day one, 100%, no doubt about it. So I've been sold on this game. Can't turn me away from it for years at this point. And for those who don't know, it published by Annapurna Interactive and developed by Dinosaur and Beethoven, or Beethoven and Dinosaur, whatever. This is only their second game they've made, but it is one of those 3-hour-long, very much more you watch it than you play it, very visual, very experiential, very story-driven kind of narrative games where it's a lot less about like mechanics. You're not learning like how to jump and shoot and swap weapons and collect and upgrade and discover and search. Like it's not that. It's very much like an interactive movie-like experience. And listen, man, I if you caught me like in high school, or early college, I could have gone on forever about this kind of experience, because I used to be very emboldened and passionate about storytelling in video games, and video games are art, and I hate that video games don't get the same respect that like novels and film do. It's like, I don't care about that shit anymore. I'm jaded, I'm tired, I'm old. I know what I like, and I don't need to defend it. And so I feel differently about these things now. But like, if you go back to like 2014 when Gone Home came out, and you know, it is an amazing, unique piece of art, and people were criticizing it as like, oh, it's a walking simulator, it's not a real game, it's a walking simulator. It's like, listen, I would have gone off forever about that. Now I'm just like, listen, if you see a game like Mixtape and you don't see the value in that game, not because it's a piece of art, which it is, but you don't see the value in terms of this game really taking advantage of the breadth and diversity of what a video game can be, but because video games are inherently interactive video experiences. And because this doesn't fit the mold of being a game where you hold a gun, you hide behind cover, and you blow people's brains out and then try to upgrade your character, doesn't mean it's not a video game. It just means it's not a conventional video game, which is great. We need things that are different. We need things that are unique. We need different types of experiences. And Mixtape is another great, unique experience, and I really, really appreciate games like this for existing, and it's a breath of fresh air. In between playing Resident Evil and Pragmata, and what else am I playing? Vampire Crawlers, which is a gamey-ass video game, just before we get to 007 First Light, which is a video game-ass video game, and Lego Batman, which is a video game-ass video game. It's nice to have something that is refreshing and different, like Mixtape. Listen, I love steak just as much as the next guy, but you know what makes steak taste better? When you don't eat it breakfast, lunch, and dinner every fucking day for the rest of your life. It's nice to have a salad every once in a while. And Mixtape, you might not like salads, but it's a salad. Doesn't mean it's not food, but it is a salad. It's not a steak. Get over it. Mixtape is a beautiful experience. I like it a lot. It's very much a video game. There is no controversy to be had. I listen, like I said, I'm mostly on YouTube and Reddit these days, not really like the Twitter or Twitter adjacent platforms. So I don't see too much of the controversy. I don't know exactly what people are pissy about with this game. I know some of it is this isn't a real video game kind of crowd, which is like, you're just showing your own ass if you say that. It just shows how incredibly ignorant you are. And then I know there's the crowd that's like, oh, it's woke, it's LGBT, you play as a girl. It insinuates that like maybe one of these people is a little like gender fluid or like sexually on the spectrum and like doesn't like just like girls or just like boys. I don't know. Like I see some of that stuff, like immediately like my eyes glaze over, because I'm like, you as a person are a caricature and your opinions are invalid. I don't care. Like I just straight up like, people who talk like that, like just throw them out of society. They don't have any voice. They're bringing nothing interesting or compelling to our collective conversation as a sorry, I'm choking on a peanut M&M as a race. Like, we don't need you. Shut up. So with that said, I really don't want to get into the controversy of this game. People are going to review bomb it. I know some people are pissy because you got like the IGNs of the world giving it a 10 out of 10. And then you got like the Joe Schmoes who just want to play like Crimson Desert, who are just like, I don't see what's good about this game because I'm a dumb baby. So it's like, whatever. Everyone's an idiot. Everyone's right. Everyone's wrong. Who gives a shit? Here, I'll just now talk about my interpretation of the game, my experience with the game, and my feelings and thoughts about the game. I think Mixtape is a really, really great game. It's a really special game. It mostly lives up to what I was expecting to get out of it. I do think it's a little bit overrated in a literal sense. Like when I look at the Metacritic score and the number of outlets giving this game like a perfect score, I'm like, wow, 10 out of 10 I think is a little high for this game. For me personally, if we're giving it arbitrary numbers, which I hate numbers scoring, but if we're going to do that, I would say for me it's maybe, I don't know, an 8 out of 10. It's a great game. It's a really great game. I highly recommend it. It is a Game Pass game, so if you're a Game Pass subscriber, I think you owe it to yourself to give it a try, whether it's your cup of tea or not, just to see if maybe you like it, branch out, try something different. I don't know. For me, I got it in the introductory sale for $18 on my Xbox. It's the first game I played on Xbox in a little while here, and Xbox was the perfect place to play it because I played it on the big screen in my living room with my girlfriend next to me, and we played it kind of like a movie, and it was awesome. Basically, this game, without spoiling too much of it, because I don't really want to get into that, it centers around these three friends, and it is the like last hurrah. It's their last night. They're graduating high school. The main protagonist, who you play as, is moving to New York the next day, and one of your friends is off to college. One of your friends is going to stay in town, and you are going to move out to New York. And it's just kind of that. This game is very much a slice of life, coming of age, drama, whatever kind of teen movie, talking about one of the most relatable experiences, which is just that inevitable fear of growing up, holding on to what's left of your youth and your childhood. This, when you're a kid and you're growing up in your hometown and you go to the same school system your whole life, the same group of kids your whole life. It's like, that's your world, school, teachers, tests, parents, rules, curfews, waking up early, the school bus, your friend group, going to the mall, going to concerts, rebelling, learning the things you like and don't like, discovering your taste in music, becoming, having your first crush, your first boyfriend, whatever, getting caught doing something you're not supposed to be doing, whatever. It's a game that's very much trying to encapsulate that feeling of like fleeting youth while also playing into a deep nostalgic lens. This game takes place in the 90s. So it's a time before the internet in your pocket, before cell phones, before social media, whatever. And it very much is supposed to depict like these like alternative punk rock, you can't tell us what to do, rebellious teen spirit kids. And it's told like kind of through the lens of this soundtrack, which is why it's called Mixtape. And it has some of these very iconic like punk rock and alternative and indie artists and whatever. Listen, some artists I absolutely love. I mean, like the most, one of the biggest scenes towards the end of the game has an Iggy Pop song that I love a lot called Candy, and it has a lot of popular artists, Devo and things like that. And so it's told through this lens of like music. And it's these like I said, like these kind of alternative like kids are like, oh, whatever, we're just trying to sneak alcohol and like have one last day of partying, blah, blah, blah. It's very Ferris Bueller's Day Off. These kids are spending their last day together. They're going to go to a party. They're trying to sneak some alcohol. They're trying to have a good time. And then the next day, their lives are about to be forever changed as the group gets split up, right? And I think inherently, if you are a person who came up in the 80s or 90s, this is especially, I think, a poignant game that's going to really hit home with you because there's a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of, and it's not like beat you over the head with it nostalgia like Stranger Things. It's not like, let me get my Ecto Cooler Ghostbusters High C Fruit Punch sponsored by Chips Ahoy. It's like subtle nostalgia. It's like it takes place in the 90s. Kids skateboard. This is the music they listen to. This is like the way people used to talk that they don't talk anymore. This is like the shit teenagers used to get into before they had the internet. So it's encapsulating a culture that has shifted, that has changed, that's somewhat bygone. And I think for a lot of like the 40 plus gamer crowd that's playing this game, I think it's hitting a lot of them a lot harder than it is. I'm kind of in an in-between generation or younger generation, let's be honest. I mean, I was born in the 90s. I was really raised in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. So to me, this isn't representative of the high school experience I had. But it reminds me of my older siblings that I definitely was exposed to at a young age. It reminds me of the movies I watched growing up. It reminds me of the kind of depiction that the media and that Hollywood portrays of what it's like to be a 16-year-old suburban white kid growing up listening to punk rock music, skating, graffitiing, getting in trouble, getting caught by the cops, having your first drink of alcohol, kissing your first girl, whatever. And there's a lot about this game that really taps into that teenage nostalgia. And there's something I think super, super, super relatable about for everyone about this kind of like teen youth high school experience, because whether you were a good kid or a bad kid or a partier or you worked a job part-time after school, whatever your experience was, I think there is so much about the feeling and the sentiment and like the forever young kind of rebellious spirit of these kids and of this game that I think even if you went to high school in 2019, and you remember a totally different world from what this game depicts, I think there is a spirit and a sentiment to this game that transcends time and place and is universally relatable. And I think from that perspective, I see how it's a very highly emotional game. It's a very relatable game. And I really appreciate and admire this game from that perspective. It's very much an 80s coming of age story. And the end of the game it's not like so-and-so dies or so-and-so breaks up or this thing happens and it leaves you in tears. But it is an emotional, nostalgic, relatable experience that leaves you with this feeling of just like, it takes you back to a place of vulnerability and youth and fleeting memories that I think is so relatable universally that it can leave you emotionally vulnerable by the time the credits roll. And I think especially with how the game ends in the last like 5-10 minutes, there's something very bittersweet about it. Bittersweet is definitely the term to use. And it makes this game a very emotionally resonant experience, which is really all that I could ever ask for from these kinds of games. When I play a game like this, I want to be captivated for a couple hours, and I want a cathartic moment where you have like a good cry at the end. And Mixtape largely succeeds in that. Now, I'll be honest, I like a video game that makes me cry. Not many games do. This game did not make me cry when I beat it, but I did get in my feels a little bit, and it did work a little bit in the way it intends to. I see a lot of people ragging on like the way the kids talk in this game. It's very much like, oh dude, oh bro, I don't know. It's like this SoCal kind of like skater punk ass, too cool for school thing. I know some people are like, oh, it reminds me of Life is Strange. It's really cringy. It's like, I think this game is trying to be irreverent with this like 90s West Coast kind of teen punk talk, and I think they're kind of self-aware of how it comes off, but it's well written, but also in a way that is kind of caricature like, and I think it's to kind of accentuate the vibe this game is going for, because this game is fully centered around vibes. I mean, like there are scenes in the game where it's like you're listening to a song that puts you in a certain like state of mind or a certain feeling, and then your character's like floating through the sky, like nodding to their headphones and stuff. Like obviously these things aren't literally happening, so I think the way the characters talk and the way they act and the way they dress and the things they say to adults and stuff is supposed to be like it's supposed to like hyperbolize like the state of mind and the feeling and the vibe of like these teen movies. It's not meant to be taken super literal, I think, but it's very cool. It's very, I think, like if you're just passing by and you don't know what you're watching, you might be like, this looks kind of stupid. But if you really give the game a proper go and you play and experience it for yourself, I think you should pretty easily be able to understand what they're going for. Whether that works or not for you is totally valid, But for me, it mostly worked. I'm someone who likes Life is Strange, so for people who are like, oh, this reminds me of Life is Strange, I kind of don't like it. It's like, well, opposite for me. I kind of like that stuff. So I don't know. I think Mixtape is fucking cool. I think it's a really heartwarming, bittersweet experience. I love the idea that not all games are about big anime titty girls upgrading their inventory slots. I think it's cool when a game can try to be something different, when a game can try to lean into the narrative element, when it can use interactive gameplay elements to enhance storytelling as opposed to be a mechanically addictive experience. Because of course this game has mechanics, it has gameplay, but it's light and there's no way to really like die or lose or whatever. It's not about that. It's not about difficulty. It's not about mastering mechanics. It's about experiencing a story, and the interactive element enhances that storytelling. And it really does. So I think this game is awesome. I highly recommend it, and highly praise and reward developers who make these types of experiences, because I think we need more of them, and we need more creative people willing to take risks and say, well, why can't this be a video game? My mom caught a glimpse of the game and she goes, I don't think this game's very good for kids. I'm like, well, just because it's a video game doesn't mean it's for kids. And like, there's a lot of, with all due respect, Mom, there's a lot of ignorance out there. People don't know what a video game is, who a video game's for. It's unfortunate that video games have been as prominent as they've been for like 45 years at this point, and there's just so much lack of interest, lack of intellectual curiosity, and lack of appreciation for what all video games can be and have been. And it's one thing if like your mom that doesn't play video games doesn't get it. That's one thing. That's fine. But it's another thing when you're someone who's a self-proclaimed gamer or video game fan, and you can't see the value in an experience like Mixtape. So that's too bad. You're really missing out, and like I said, you're showing your own ass. You're showing your own ignorance. But whatever. Not everything's for everyone, and not everyone's gonna open their minds up enough to broaden their horizons. So that just is what it is. But I think Mixtape is a really great game. I really like it. Super glad I played it. I think it's 3 hours and $20. I think it's a steal. It's a great game, and I highly recommend it. So that's game number 1 is Mixtape. The next game I've been playing a shit ton of, and this is where we can kind of talk about like Steam Deck, Xbox, Switch. Vampire Crawlers. This game has consumed my life. I've been off work this week, and in that time I've played 20 hours of Vampire Crawlers on my Steam Deck. I love this game. I love this game so much. I want to cry. I love this game so much that I stay up till 2 a.m. playing it. I love this game more than I love Daffodils, and I don't even know how much I love Daffodils. But Vampire Crawlers, this game to me does it way more than Vampire Survivors did. I love this like simplistic, fast-paced card battle dungeon crawling thing that they've created here, where it's this like roguelike thing, and there's these 10 levels you're trying to go through, and each one's progressively harder and harder, and you want to like change your character and upgrade your abilities and your rewards and your skills to try and get through these increasingly harder dungeons and levels. But there's also this like RNG element to it, where it's just like, oh, this run, it's like you came across this thing, and then you beat these enemies and you unlock this reward, and you get this multiplier and this modifier, and you just kind of customize constantly these attacks and these abilities you have, and hope to God that it's going to equip you to get through the level just fine. This game's tough as nails. I keep getting to these like level 5, level 6 levels, like difficulty levels, where I just get my ass kicked. I'll make it to like the final level of a dungeon, the final layer of a dungeon, then I get my ass kicked at the final boss. I'm like, wow, that's a 50-minute run that I just lost, but it's fun. It's addicting. It's very much one of those games where every time you die, you don't go, fuck this game. You go, all right, one more. Let's go. One more time. Let's do it again. So I really love this game. I'm very helplessly addicted to it. And I stupidly, because I'm a dumb baby, went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and buy this game again on my Switch 2, even though I'm at the end of the game on Steam. I'm very close to the end of it. I'm just going to give it up, hang it up, and move over to Switch 2 and restart my whole file and play it over there now. Because I'm playing the Switch 2, or I'm playing the Steam Deck. I'm fucking around with it. Valve sent it back to me. They fixed everything that was wrong with it. The game, the handheld works perfectly. And here's my thing, man. It just doesn't resonate with me. Ergonomically, the Steam Deck is great. In theory, everything the Steam Deck is great. I really like the Steam Deck a lot. Like, I don't want to make it sound like there's any true problem with it or it's not a great device. It is, and it's great for the people that love it. But when I'm playing it, there's just something about it. It doesn't have that feel. It doesn't feel as seamless, pick up and play easy as a Switch 2 or an Xbox. It's not a place I want to play games as badly as I want to, like on my Xbox or my Switch. And there's just something to it where I'm like, I feel like I'm becoming someone I'm not, or like I'm trying to be someone I'm not. And I just would rather have all my games in one place on one or two platforms. I hate splitting things up. I started to get that feeling I got last generation where I had an Xbox One and a PS4. And it was like, listen, if I'm juggling between a Nintendo and an Xbox or a Nintendo and a PlayStation, it's easy. Because Nintendo, you're going to play Nintendo games, and then PlayStation, you're going to play PlayStation games. But if you have like Xbox and PlayStation, you're kind of competing for the same games. And that's how this is starting to feel, where it's like a game comes out and I'm like, do I want it on Steam or Steam Deck or Switch 2 or Xbox? It's like, I don't fucking know, because it's the same games and I'm fighting on like 4 competing platforms for it. And there's just this part of me that's like, I want to simplify things. I just want to play like Halo and 007 on my Xbox and play like Lego Batman and Mario Brothers on my Switch. I don't like having all these platforms to compete. And every time I'm using my Steam Deck, I just feel like I should be using my Switch too. So I capitulated. I did reach out to Cronky. I said, you win. You said that the Steam Deck wasn't all that in a bag of chips. I think it is great, but like, yeah, I'm kind of there. I kind of feel like this is great. It's just unnecessary. I don't need this. I'm happy with my Switch 2. I'm happy with my Xbox as long as Microsoft allows me to have Xbox. I don't know if I'm going to sell it, but I'm definitely not going to make it a primary place for me to play. So I'm thinking about it. I'm going to sit on it for a while, but I might put this thing back on Facebook Marketplace and try to get my money back on it. If not, I might just keep it, and it'll be like this seldom used backup device. But the Switch 2 is where my heart is, and so after 20 hours on Steam, I'm restarting my save file on Switch 2, and now I'm playing Vampire Crawlers over there. Additionally, on Switch 2, I'm playing Inkolbini, which is a game I've also been looking forward to for about a year now. And this is a really chill like sim game where you play as like this Japanese college student who's spending part of their summer working at this like rural located convenience store that your aunt works at. She's like off for a week, so you're covering for her and working these night shifts at this convenience store. And it's just a very lo-fi chill game. It's all about like you're just stocking the shelves and you're changing the daily specials and you're ordering new supplies and you're doing this, you're doing that. And the idea of the game is it's just a chill experience where you interact with these random shoppers and customers in the middle of the night. You get to know people. You just kind of operate and run this convenience store, and you just kind of vibe out to this like 80s or 90s Japanese convenience store in the middle of rural Japan. And it's a vibe. It's fun. It's very soothing. It's relaxing. It's a game where you definitely want to pop on some headphones and listen to the audio while you're, listen to the music while you're playing it. And I like it. I like it a lot. But I just don't see myself really getting past more than like maybe 5 or 7 hours with it, which is fine. It's like a $20 game. I think that's totally fine to just kind of vibe out and enjoy the feel of this game for 5 to 10 hours and then put it up and be like, that was a good time. But I don't have too much to say about it. I feel like this game does a really good job of like just as you start to get bored and go, all right, I think I've had enough. Then like something happens in the game where like a customer walks in and starts you on some new like task, or like your shift ends and then your aunt calls or something, and then you're like, oh, okay, well this like new, they put like another little carrot on the end of the stick, and that kind of makes me want to go fuck around a lot. It's much like Animal Crossing in terms of like sometimes you play Animal Crossing for 30 minutes, you're like, that's good, I'm good, and then you like go to your mailbox and it's like, oh wait, someone dropped me this present, and it's like, oh, this is a really cool couch I got, let me pair it with this, let me go to Tom Nook's store and see if actually I can get this real quick, and ooh, if I just get a couple more bells I can probably get that, and this wallpaper will go nice with this desk, and then all of a sudden you're like playing for another 20-30 minutes, and it's like it's kind of got that thing to it where again it is a lo-fi chill game. It's all just kind of about playing at your pace, doing what you want to do, feeling it out, but at the same time it's it's a palate cleanser. Not, you don't want to eat steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. So it's okay that Inconveni can be like fucking chips and salsa or something. It's not everyone's favorite thing, but who doesn't love chips and salsa? So it's okay. It's not a main attraction, but it is a nice little side game. And so I'm enjoying that. Not too much to say about it, but those are the games I'm playing. I really want to get to Replaced. which I have sitting there waiting for me to play. But between that and then next week we start to get like Batman and Forza and 007. Like I'm overwhelmed, but games are good. I'm playing some good games. And with that said, take another quick break here. I need to drink some more water, and then we'll come back and get through our comments of the day. All right, guys, let's round out with the best and last segment of the podcast, the comments, shoutouts from youtube.com. Click on the latest episode of the podcast, drop a comment, say what you want to say, and we'll talk about it here on the show. We got 11 write-ins. It's just one of those random weeks where we got a lot of people writing in, so cool, let's get into it. Starting with Mr. 360 Bro, who wrote and said, fair enough. Now, this is in response to last week's comment. He said, I think I said something to the effect of, or you said something to the effect of, like, Xbox doesn't have that many games. They're kind of back to having a slow rollout. And then I defended it and was like, they kind of have a good cadence of games, especially this fall. And then you responded and said, fair enough. Xbox does have good games around the corner. I think what puts me off is that I've done this song and dance with Phil and refused to do it with Asha. I don't know if you've seen the Arcane Love on Twitter, but it got me back into playing through Prey, which is a masterpiece. Hope we see Blade soon. I hope we see Blade at this summer event next month. Very much with you there. No, I haven't seen the Arcane Love resurgence on Twitter or whatever, but Prey is a game. I know a lot of people who play it say it's incredible. It's been high on that backlog for a long time, but don't really know when I'm getting to it. But I believe you. Cronky also always talks about how great it is, and I know a lot of people who play it are like, wow, this game's phenomenal. So one day, I promise one day, but yes, I do want to play it. But yeah, to your point, man, listen, I don't begrudge any Xbox fan, current, former, anywhere in between, who's like, listen, I don't trust Xbox, or I don't want to do the song and dance again. We just went through it with Phil and Sarah. Now it's a new CEO. I'm not going to let them constantly get my hopes up and down and up and down. We're not playing this game anymore. I think that is a logical and completely valid approach. And I think it's a rational, healthy thing to do, because Xbox as a brand has been horrible at setting expectations and standards for themselves and then sticking to it and doing right by their audience. They are constantly rewriting the rules as they're, it's like trying to U-turn, like, oh, we were going to go home, but then we drove past that store and said, oh, you know what, let's stop there and pick this thing up. And so, like, you pull into a different lane so you can U-turn, and then during the U-turn you start to turn 90 degrees, and you're like, instead of going there, let's just go and drive into this ditch. And then, oh, instead of driving to the ditch, let's go to that store. They have better whatever it is we're going to buy. It's like, what are you doing, man? There's no coherency to how Xbox is run or thought of, and I think it makes total sense to just be like in a situation where you're like, all right, you prove me wrong over a long period of time, and then we'll talk again. But right now, I don't trust you. So, there's no reason to not respect and understand exactly where you're coming from. All right, Cronky writes in and says, I finally got around to starting Outer Worlds 2. Enjoyed it. It's a good one. Then I'm going to play Mixtape and Directive 8028. Those games are as they come out. Too much good stuff and absolutely no time. Yes. Anyone who doesn't agree with that sentiment is living under a fucking rock. I don't understand anyone who's out here complaining about the game release schedule, because it's real good right now. Decoy Doctopus writes in and says, what are your sources on Xbox games selling on PlayStation? I'm curious how well they sold. Well, I'm sure you're saying that facetiously, but as you know, I don't have sources for anything. Yeah, so my understanding based on what has been said, released, written, is that the way Xbox games are selling on PlayStation is very similar to how PlayStation games have sold on PC, which is like, in the beginning, it was all rainbows and butterflies. You know, at first it's like Sea of Thieves doing great. All these games doing just absolutely great. Forza Horizon 5 doing great, everything. And then as time has worn on, it's gotten weaker and weaker. Gears Reloaded, not so great. Starfield, not so great. I think the novelty of Xbox games coming to PlayStation has started to wear out, and therefore people are less inclined to just buy an Xbox game on PlayStation because, oh my god, an Xbox game is on PlayStation, and they're more likely to be like, well, let's see if this is a game I genuinely want to play. And then I think when you pair that with the feeling of, well, Xbox is just giving us their old games that they've had forever, and that doesn't really feel new and exciting. That just feels like, you know, it took you long enough. I think it makes people less inclined to want to buy your product. So Xbox is really kind of hurting themselves by being like, we're committed to being third party, but we're going to hinder our ability to sell well on PlayStation while also pissing off our core audience on our platform. So My understanding is that they're doing worse and worse. Now, Forza Horizon 6, when that comes to PlayStation in like 6 to 12 months, I'm sure it will do excellent. I'm sure Halo, just the novelty of Halo coming to PlayStation, will be a huge hit. But save for like rare examples like that, I think this continual like you get our game 6 to 12 months later is going to prove to be a tactic of diminishing returns, and they're going to have to reevaluate what they're doing, because I think all they're doing is hurting their potential on PlayStation while destroying their own ecosystem, and it's just not the way forward. But they've also kind of dug themselves a hole here, and they don't really have much of a way out. So that's kind of my interpretation of what's going on, but I don't know. You let me know if that sounds off base or not. Cargo Runner UK writes in with a double header here and says, let's start off with this one. The recent Xbox changes and announcements have me really confused. We always blame Microsoft upper management, not Phil Spencer, for many of the Xbox problems. Quick Resume has been badly implemented since launch. I know people say that, but I don't have any issues with it, but I believe you. You say games like Halo Infinite single-player campaign did not work with Quick Resume. Players have been asking to switch off Quick Resume for incompatible games since launch. Players have been totally ignored. Asha comes in and immediately gives Quick Resume the controls it needed. I did not know that happened. This is all new information to me, Cargo Runner. Let's see. So she is spending money on UI improvements. She's removing Copilot from Xbox. She has ditched Microsoft Gaming and has gone back to Xbox as a branding. Seems weird that Phil was unable to do anything Asha can do and anything she wants. She is certainly impressing a lot of the Xbox community and gaming press. Let's stop there for a second. Now, I think there's a couple ways to look at this, and I don't think we really know which way is the way is the reality of it. But I think one way to interpret it is that, yeah, maybe Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond had a bad vision for Xbox, and they were a huge part of the problem. There's probably some truth to that, but it's possible that they were trying to do the right thing and they were being overrun by upper Microsoft management that was like, no, we're in charge of this now. Now we need to make a profit. I don't care how this looks. You got to come out and peddle this message or that message. I think that's one possible scenario, but I think the other one is that Microsoft upper management realized, okay, we've royally fucked Xbox. We're in a situation where we need to rewrite the rules and flip the table here. But we can't do it with the same people we've had, because Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond and the like have spent all of their social viability, and people aren't going to believe anything these people say anymore. So we need to change, the leadership structure so that we can buy ourselves a fresh start. And then that's where you get someone like Asha Sharma. So now Xbox is being given the reins again, the opportunity to run the ship as they see fit under new leadership, because upper Microsoft has realized we really fucked this brand with how we were like shadow puppet running this thing. So I think that's the more likely one, but it's probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But much like at 360 game was a 360 YouTube bro, much like he was saying, I just think we're in a situation where it's like, you probably shouldn't just trust anyone until a long time. Like, give Xbox 2 to 3 years with this new leadership and see how consistent they are with their messaging, with their deliverables, and see if they really back up the things they say by delivering and following through with their actions. And if we can get a 2 to 3 consistent years of that, then I think that will show a true change in leadership and approach from Xbox. But I think it's too much. It's too soon. It's early days. So there's no way to know for real if we're just in an endless loop of Xbox talking out of both sides of their mouth, or if things are really changing. But unfortunately, as is too often the response from me on this podcast, we will just have to wait and see, because it is just too soon to know. But Cargo Runner, you also write in and say the Xbox sales figures are not as bad as you may think. The declines are year on year, not quarter on quarter. So 4 quarters of 25% decline just means that it's a 25% decline. You also need to consider that on release of the Series console, the sales figures shot up in 2021. So all these 25% declines are in relation to the peak sales in 2021. So it takes several years of 25% declines to get back down to 2020 Xbox One hardware sales. Don't get me wrong, it's bad, and the Series console sales dropped to the end of generation levels much faster than the Xbox One did, but Series consoles have not sold so badly like the Wii U level of sales, like some people think. Well, sure, but I think there's a little bit of a middle ground here, because, yeah, Wii U sold like 14 million units lifetime sales. It's abysmal. It's absolutely embarrassing. And no Xbox console has ever sold that poorly. But Xbox Series consoles are, rumored to be somewhere in like the 25 to 30 million lifetime sales. And that's really fucking bad, man. That's actually really, really bad. Xbox One, I think what often gets overlooked is people say Xbox One, like, oh, it lost, PS4 clobbered it. Xbox One did pretty well, actually. Xbox One sold like 50 to 60 million units lifetime, which is respectable. It's not 360 levels of units, and it's not as good as competition did, but 50 to 60 million units lifetime is very respectable and very healthy. But Xbox can't be satisfied with that. They were greedy and they had to fuck things up. But 20 to 30 million units lifetime for Series consoles, that's rough. That's bad. That's really bad. So no, it's not Wii U bad, but it's definitely not good like the Xbox One was. It's definitely not great like the 360 was. So it is important to say that these declines are incredibly steep. And even if it is year over year versus quarter over quarter, it when you look at the lifetime sales of the console, you can tell that things are really bad for Xbox hardware. And that's at the end of the day, the bigger picture is this thing is just not selling the way it needs to be selling. But I do appreciate the correction, the update, and so thank you for writing in about that. And yes, it's not the worst performing console of all time, but it's far from a success. It's far from what Xbox wanted it to be, and that's what really is the problem here. Billy Burgess writes in and says, hiya, Xbox has a lot to do for me to buy another console. I have stopped buying their games on their platform. I've lost the confidence in the brand. I will buy a Steam box and move over to that platform. But anyway, had a great Chinese the other night. Beef chow mein, lemon chicken pork balls, Chinese curry. Had to give me hands a good wash before I played my Switch 2. Cheers with a beer emoji. Okay. Listen, I agree. Totally agreeable, totally respectable. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not going to be investing further in Steam. I think I will be playing a lot more on PC than I have the past couple years, or really ever. And I'm very, very heavily invested on my Switch 2. In fact, I'm not going to lie. Listen, I love Xbox. There's nothing I want more than for Xbox to make a comeback and be everything that they used to be and more. There's no doubt that that's what I want, but I won't lie to you guys right now. My favorite thing in the world of video games, my absolute favorite place to play, my favorite thing going on in video games, the thing that gets me the most excited and hyped every day is Nintendo Switch 2. And I say that as someone who is a lifelong Nintendo fan, but lapsed very, very hard during the Switch 1 era, especially that latter half of that generation. And everything about Nintendo Switch 2 is basically like really everything I wanted Switch 1 to be, and everything I kind of want video games to be going forward. It's powerful enough that it can get all the games. It doesn't have to be the best, but it is the best in its own unique ways. I love playing this thing in handheld mode. The display is excellent. It has a great lineup of games coming from first party and great support from third party, and I just think it's such a fun device to play on. It's not perfect, but when you dock this thing and you pick up that Pro controller, it's about as good as it gets for the most part. It's overall, I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is like the pinnacle of gaming at this point in time. Plenty of room for improvement on this device, no doubt about that. But I feel so incredibly satiated and catered to and satisfied with what all I'm getting out of my Nintendo Switch 2 right now in a way that Xbox hasn't really given me in the better part of 7 years. And that I really don't feel like I'm getting anywhere else. So it's all to each their own, but yeah, my kind of reactionary move to what all is happening on Xbox more than anything is I'm going to keep investing on my Nintendo Switch, because that's where I feel like I'm having a great time playing games and I feel confident in the future viability of the brand. But I am waiting for Xbox to pick up the pieces. I'm waiting for them to turn things around, because what I'm learning, especially as I tried to give Steam Deck a try, as I tried to lean more into PC gaming, it's not that I don't enjoy that stuff, I do, but I really just rather have an Xbox. I'd really rather my life be this harmonious relationship between Nintendo and Microsoft and not have to be these other things. But if it has to be, it has to be, because much like people have said before you, Billy, and much like I've agreed with, there's just so much reason not to support Xbox, not to invest further in that platform, and not to feel any confidence whatsoever in the brand. So I think you are making incredibly rational, realistic, viable moves. by moving over to Steambox, and I hope it's something you find out that you love, because I'm still excited about Steambox, but I'm not sure that I'm a day one adopter at this point, and I'm just not sure that it's where I go in the future, but I'm very much open to it. I definitely think it's more likely where I end up over PlayStation. So, dude, as for Chinese food, fucking dude, beef chow mein is so good. I like beef chow fun even more. But yeah, dude, shout out to Chinese food. It's so good. American Chinese takeout, real Chinese food, fucking all of it. Szechuan food, Chinese barbecue, all these things, so good. Hot pot, love it all. Have a great week, Mr. Billy. Tim R writes in and says, Game Pass for old games only, more like Game Passed. Love it, dude. That's a nod. Because last week I said they should just make a $6 a month version of Game Pass that's just like old games, no day one stuff. And I think that's a fun name, Mr. Tim R. I love it. I love the creativity, and it's good to see. It's been a while, man. Woke Dead Captain James writes in and says, I just realized I never answered your question on why I swapped from the Xbox Ally X to the Legion Go 2. It's quite simple. It's the screen quality and size. The Ally Xbox X screen is absolute crap. No hyperbole. It's tiny and everything looks washed out on it. For the price, and they really dropped the ball on the quality in the number one thing you spend the most time staring at. Also, the Xbox full screen experience was not for me. I just wanted normal Windows and an OLED screen that is over 8 inches in size. I'm surprised to hear you say that, because it sounds like what most people want is an Xbox full screen experience, not a Windows tablet, but you're looking for quite the opposite, which is totally fine, totally rational, and valid. But yeah, what I would definitely want is for my handheld to be an Xbox, not to be a Windows device. So hey man, to each their own. Glad you found something you like. But it's so funny you mentioned that thing about the screen, because that was a huge part of my experience playing on the Steam Deck and then going back to Switch 2. Is like the Steam Deck's display, like I have the old LCD model, I don't have the OLED model with a bigger, nicer display. But even that, it's like the Steam Deck is like totally serviceable. The screen was fine. But when I switched back to my Switch 2, I was like, holy shit, this screen is way bigger and way prettier, and I like it so much more, even though the handheld itself isn't as ergonomically comfortable. So it's so funny you mentioned that, because that was a huge part of it for me, where I'm like, I'd rather play on Switch 2, also just because this screen is such a better experience overall. Like, fuck it. Like, I want to be here. So I very much relate to that particular criticism or preference you have there. But thanks for writing in. Always good to have you, Mr. Dead Captain James. Mr. Wookie writes in and says, the small changes are nice, but if they really want to save Xbox, they have to bring back exclusives in some way or another. People will just buy their games on PC, PlayStation, Switch. To sell the platform and the hardware, you need big, critically acclaimed exclusive games, and it's as simple as that. If I were running Xbox, I would keep games like Halo, Gears, Fable, Elder Scrolls exclusive, and then release smaller games like Kiln or Keeper in live service projects day and date everywhere else. They could even do timed exclusives where they get games like Forza Horizon, and I wouldn't be upset about that. But the big single-player blockbuster games should be exclusive, and what draws people into your platform and gives them a reason to buy your hardware. Listen, man, you are preaching to the choir. I think we all agree on that. We all are 100% with you on that. But again, two things, which Decoy Doctopus responds and says perfectly. He says, hey, I agree with you, but Gears already came to PlayStation and Halo was announced. So for me, it's too late to be exclusive anymore. And like Jesse said, if all they care about is monthly users, then they'll keep coming out on PlayStation. Yes, if the North Star is as active users, monthly active users, then doesn't matter what you want, doesn't matter what I want. Even though what you're saying is what I want, it's not going to happen. And number two, you got to remember, even though big games like Gears of War and Halo are these single-player tentpole Xbox experiences, they're still multiplayer games, and Xbox wants them to become more live service oriented. That's clearly what they were trying to do, especially with Halo Infinite. So you don't want to segregate your player base. You don't want to chop it into pieces by saying, oh, PlayStation will get it, but they'll get it later, or they won't get this game at all, but they will get that game. It's like, you don't want to do that, because you want Halo and Gears to have lively, healthy online player bases, and you're not going to do that through exclusivity. So you cannot have your cake and eat it too. I get it if it's like, I I get if it's like Minecraft is on all the platforms, or like a free-to-play game like Warzone, like Call of Duty Warzone is on all the platforms, but you need to pick a lane and stick to it. Either your games are exclusive or they aren't. I don't think timed exclusivity will fix it. I don't think pick and choose exclusivity will fix it. I think it's all or nothing. You gotta fucking do it. It's like PlayStation can get away with like Marathon being on Xbox. Xbox can get away with Minecraft being on PlayStation. But we cannot have most, if not everything, on everything. The fact that Indiana Jones is on Switch 2, that's not helping your case, Xbox, and never will. I don't care what you say. But anyway, let's move on here. Kronky writes in and says, you know what always irritated me? Faithful remakes or remasters of well-preserved games. Like, if the game is inaccessible, I get it, but Halo Combat Evolved is easily playable today and is in a great state. Make as many changes as possible to Campaign Evolved, please. I think that is perfectly encapsulated. That's exactly the sentiment of how I feel. Yeah, exactly, because Combat Evolved has been remastered so many times. It's so accessible. You can play Halo the Master Chief on your Xbox Series X easily, perfectly. It's available on Steam. It's so incredibly easy to access. It's aged well. It's preserved well. It's accessible. There's no reason to do Halo Combat Evolved again unless you are going to take major liberties with the design and the narrative and the gameplay and the feel of that game. Unless you're basically going to reimagine it. If you're going to Final Fantasy VII reimagine Halo Combat Evolved, by all means, go for it. But we don't need 90% of this game copied and pasted again, but now it's an Unreal Engine. So I agree completely. I think you are you're saying it perfectly, and you're preaching to the choir. Because I don't know if you're preaching to the choir, because it sounds like a lot of people do want faithful remakes and remasters. But I would agree with you and disagree with them for sure. Cargo Runner even responded and said, hey, I agree. I wish Campaign Evolved was a complete reboot of the franchise. I think they need to scrap all the old games, movies, and TV shows. We have all these abandoned, half-finished stories. Start fresh with a really good plan that covers games, TVs, and movies. Focus on having really good, well-written characters and stories. And any new games must have epic moments, encounters like what we had in Halos 1 through 3. Halo Infinite campaign had no epic moments at all. It was very mediocre. Halo deserves so much better than what we have gotten. I don't know if I disagree with that part. So what is Halo Campaign Evolved? Is it just a way of Halo Studios being paid to learn how to use Unreal Engine 5? And to be honest, I think that it will have loads of bugs and problems in it. I don't agree with everything you said, but I do agree with the sentimentality that, like, fuck it, you can reboot Halo and I'd be fine with it. Fuck it. Just like, listen, you keep dropping the ball. I say, fuck TV, fuck books, fuck movies. We don't need that. Unless it's going to be like adjunct, or not even adjunct, if it's going to be entirely unrelated. But even then, I really don't want any of that. Make video games and video games only and just reboot Halo. I'm fine with that. If you take a lot of key moments and characters and things from the original Halo games and you use them to tell a new rebooted story of Halo, that's fine, because you've already shit all over the corpse of Halo. So I think that's a great way forward, and I actually would be happier with that than anything. But even then, the problem would still be, well, Halo Studios 343, whatever you want to call them, they still haven't proven themselves to be able to tell a continuous story. So what makes you think rebooting would fix it? That's the way you can come back to that. But I do agree that a reboot might be the only path forward at this point, because my God, how they have butchered this beloved franchise from a narrative perspective. All right, the final comment comes from Objects in Space, who says, I was a real cuck for the Activision deal going through, purely so I could play all the old Call of Duty campaigns on Game Pass. Not only did I not get those games added to Game Pass, it was the beginning of the end for Xbox. Objects in Space, I really appreciate and respect you coming to terms with this. And I'll admit, I was very against this at the beginning and at the end, but there were some points at the middle where I was kind of like, just let it happen. Whatever, fuck it. I'm so tired of this legal battle. Let's just get through this already. But yes, I think the Xbox community and fan base needs to own up to the fact that this is something that was championed that shouldn't have been, because it was never the way forward. It was never the right move, and we're all paying for it now. But I appreciate that you're willing to be honest about it, because I think too often people are, I don't know. It's almost as if there's something like that going on in the United States right now with a certain president in office, where an overwhelming majority of people begged and begged and begged for him to come in. And there's certain people that were like, hey, this is going to be a fucking disaster. This is not going to work out. You're not going to get what you think you're going to get out of this. And then he got into office, and now gas is like $5 a gallon, and we're in an illegal war that nobody wants to be a part of. And inflation's even worse than it was under the last administration. And we're kind of destroying democracy, but whatever. Nobody wants to step up and say, hey, I was wrong. Right? Anyway. I won't get any more political than that, but I will just say I appreciate the honesty, and I think we all need to be responsible for the parts we played in championing this. Not that it really matters at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, big corporation was going to buy other big corporation and consolidate the industry, whether we supported it or not. But yeah, it wasn't the move forward. Everything about this deal was an absolute shit show, and I think everyone in the industry is worse off because of this deal. But we can still hope and pray that maybe, just maybe, Xbox can turn it around enough to where maybe we get something. I don't think we'll ever get what we had back with Xbox, but I think we can maybe get something better than what we currently have. And I'm never going to stop holding out for hope on that, because that's how much I really loved Xbox being my primary place to play games. So let's just hope that there's something that can be created from the debris and the rubble and the remains of this now tortured brand, and we'll see where we go. Until then, I'm still going to dabble with PC because there's a lot of value there. I'm going to play the fuck out of my Nintendo Switch 2 because that's the thing that's really making me happy. And wherever I can justify doing so, I'm going to play my Xbox. I'm playing Kiln there. I just played Mixtape there. I will definitely be playing 007 and Forza on my Xbox. And I will continue to look forward to Campaign Evolved and Fable and Gears E-Day and all these games. And, of course, Call of Duty, the most Xbox game of all Xbox games. Because where I can enjoy Xbox as it once was, I will continue to do so, because that is something that makes me deeply happy. But until then, we just have to hold out hope. That's all we can do. So, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of Xbox On. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Play some good games. God knows there's plenty of them to enjoy. Wherever you decide to play, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Switch, whatever the fuck, just know that you are in no shortage of good content. So enjoy your games, enjoy some time with your families, get some rest, take a day off work every once in a while, and please grill some meats. They're so yummy. They're so yummy on the grill. I love it. But until next week, bury your dreams.